After we taped that interview yesterday, Governor Kasich said that he would not appoint Judge Garland to the Supreme Court and that his comments were an effort to be polite. Joining us now from the campaign trail is Senator Bernie Sanders, who is in Tucson, Arizona. Senator, we've looked at the math here for the contest going forward, and it looks like you'd have to win almost 60% of the remaining delegates. So what's your path to the nomination? That's a big number.
Well, it is, but I think that the states that are coming up just on Tuesday, we got Idaho, we got Utah, we got Arizona, we're heading out west to Washington, we got Alaska, we have Hawaii, we're then heading to New York. We think that the path forward is a pretty good path for us. Clearly, Secretary Clinton did very, very well in the Deep South, not a strong area for us. But I think as we go forward, you're going to see us doing better and better. And by the way, I think people are also going to appreciate, when they look at the polls, that Bernie Sanders does better against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton does. In fact, in the last NBC poll, we were 18 points ahead of Donald Trump, far more so than Secretary Clinton. I think that will play a factor in the coming states.
You know, Secretary Clinton won in Ohio and Illinois. That's not the Deep South.
Well, but here's the point, as you well know. She did, and we won in Michigan. But at the end of the day, if you look at Michigan, if you look at Illinois, if you look at Missouri, we come out almost the same in terms of delegates.
Hillary Clinton has got about 2 million more votes than you have. The theory of your campaign and of your presidency has been to create a movement, to create momentum, to gather people. But she seems to be able to gather more people behind her message than you. Isn't that a threat to the theory of the Sanders campaign?
No. John, not at all. I mean, what you're really talking about is she did very well in the Deep South. She creamed us in Mississippi and Alabama and South Carolina. Now, I wish I didn't have to say this, but everything being equal, no Democrat right now, I hope that changes, and I think it will, is going to win those elections, those states in the general election. We have now won 9 states. I think in a couple of weeks, you're going to see us win more states. I think as we head to the West Coast, which is probably the most progressive part of America, the ideas that we are fighting for, dealing with a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality, a national health care system through Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I think the people in those states really are not going to be voting for establishment politics and establishment economics. They want real change. I think we're going to do well there.
You have, over the last month or so, been drawing greater contrast with Hillary Clinton. Should we continue to see that all the way up through the convention? There have been people who have said, fine, let the race continue, but every sharp attack or distinction that Senator Sanders draws has the potential of unsettling things if Hillary Clinton becomes the nominee.
Well, trust me, there is nothing that I am ever going to say about Secretary Clinton, and I've never run a negative ad. And you should see some of the attacks that are coming against us from the Clinton campaign. Nothing that I will say will compare in any way to what the Republicans will say. What an election is about, John, is a contrast in ideas. It is differences of opinion. And yes, Hillary Clinton has moved over the last 10 months much closer to the positions that I've been advocating for 20 or 30 years, but the differences remain. Our history in politics is very different, and I think the people of this country deserve to know that. And I think the central issue is, if you are a Secretary Clinton and you're taking many millions of dollars through your super PAC from Wall Street, from the drug companies, from the fossil fuel industry, are you really going to be the agent of change in taking on the billionaire class, taking on Wall Street, taking on the big money interests, which we need, in my view, right now? And that is an issue that the voters will have to decide.
One last tactical question, Senator. There's been a report that you might go to the convention, and if you're behind in delegates, try to flip those superdelegates to win through using the superdelegates. Is that a strategy you are looking at?
The whole concept of superdelegates is problematic. But I would say that in states where we have won, by 20, 25 points, you know what? I think it might be a good idea for superdelegates to listen to the people in their own state. I just talked to a person the other day who said, you know what? I am going to listen to my state, and if my state votes for you, Bernie, you're going to have my vote. I think that I would hope that a lot of the superdelegates take that factor into consideration.
So, yes, that is a strategy you're pursuing.
Well, to say to a superdelegate, Bernie Sanders won your state by 20 or 30 points, you might want to listen to your state. I think that is common sense, and I think superdelegates should do that.
But if they didn't come from a state that you won, they shouldn't feel compelled to go for you.
Well, legally they have their own decision to be made. They have their own right to make that decision. But I would argue that many of these superdelegates, for them, what is most important, as it is for me and Secretary Clinton, by the way, is making sure that no Republican occupies the White House. And if people conclude by the end of this campaign, if we have the energy, and it's an if we win a number of states, that's also an if. But if that's the factor, and it appears that I am the stronger candidate against Trump, I think you're going to see some superdelegates saying, you know what, I like Hillary Clinton, but I want to win this thing. Bernie is our guy.
All right, Senator Sanders, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, John.
And we'll be back in a moment.